My name is Solange, I'm 24, I live in Amsterdam now for a few years. I grew up in the south of the Netherlands, Den Bosch. I am a beauty pageant girl. I did my first beauty pageant in Barcelona, Miss Transfer International, where I was the first Miss Netherlands. I reached top 10. Fun experience. There's this whole stigma lying around that in the Netherlands you have this wonderful life when you're LGBTQ+. You can walk on rainbows, you have unicorns shooting from the sky, you have cotton candy and whipped ice cream popping up on the ground. But all of that's actually not true. I mean, even though if you are gay, if you are trans, if you are non-binary, you still have so much discrimination coming here in the Netherlands, even here in Amsterdam. And I think that a lot of people are misguided by the fact that even though we as a country, we were the first country to legalize gay marriage, we have pretty good rights as trans people. We have access to hormones, to healthcare, to surgery, but that does not mean that we do not face discrimination. It does not mean that we do not get beat up. It does not mean that we do not get taken seriously by police. It does not mean that we are not being thrown out by our families. So all that stuff that you hear in America, that trans people are oppressed, it's also happening in here. So the one question I get the most, which I am really sick of, is when people ask me, what's your real name? It's annoying, to say at least, because I've chosen my name already a few years back, and that's my name now. That's my legal name also. It's not just my pronouns or whatever. And I think that it's very weird that people say, what's your name? I mean, it's basically me asking you what's your name, and you're saying your name, and I'm like, no, but what's your real name? Like, tell me your real name, because I don't believe you. I don't get why. It's frustrating. And when I was 16, I came out as being a transgender woman. And eventually it just, you just imagine coming home every day and your family just looking at you like, we don't accept you, we don't see you as one of us, we don't really like to tell the world about you because we're ashamed. On the other hand, we also want to accept you because you're still family, but we don't know how to. And then I had to make a choice. Do I want to keep feeling oppressed every time I visit them? Do I want to keep feeling like everything that has happened is my fault, which obviously is not, or do I want to create a different path for myself in which I get rid of all that toxic environment, the toxic people, and cut ties and live my life?
So my name is Johet. I'm 30-something years old. I identify as they, them, but I'm completely comfortable with people calling me pronouns of his and hers, so that's fine. I am brown and queer as fuck. There are so many factors, I think, that we are all conditioned by, or that society is conditioned by, that first have to be seen, addressed and assessed, and then eliminated for you to be a true ally. So fetishizing queer women, whether they be trans or gay, is not the same as accepting them. Saying someone is bi is not talking about that someone is 50% gay and 50% straight. One person is 100% bi. Referring to LGBTQI people and then only seeing white, cis, gay males is not you being an ally fully, because if you would address not only the G letter from the LGBTQI, which already has so many variations within that letter, the same goes for all the other letters in the abbreviation. So I think for you to be an ally is first addressing all these conditions, these prejudices, these biases that you have. And from opening up, I mean, you don't have to fully understand everything to accept people for who they are. So I think if you start from that premise and then self-educate yourself, you would be a huge ally for sure. I feel by being a very outspoken, non-binary queer person, that by choosing your true self, your true existence, that's a political statement already. So even by not choosing to be an activist, you are a statement in a political way. I'm a bit done with the questions as what do you identify, because that is also built on the fact that people address sex and gender as the same thing, and both sex and gender are not the same things, and simultaneously they're not binary as well. So if they would have an educated view on how many variations there are within this topic, then the question is rather valid, because we can talk about it, sort of, But if you would just like to hear if I identify as a him or a her, then the question is a bit invalid, sort of, because I identify as neither. But what I would like, rather as opposed to questions that I'm hindered or bothered by, is just people asking more, because I'm not. I don't mind per se grabbing people by the hand or showing them the way or showing them me, but rather ask than assume, and rather ask than be prejudiced. So I would love basically for people to ask more even than they do now.
So I'm Aga and I'm from Poland, and I live in Netherlands for 2 years, and we are together for almost 4 years, and we met in Bali.
And I'm Lena. I'm originally from Germany, but I left Germany more than 10 years ago, and I wanted to travel all the time, so I traveled all the time until I met Aga. And now we settled in the Netherlands, and we really want to stay here. It's time to settle down. I think people always think way too complicated. Being an ally or support starts in the very, very small things. If we all teach our children and niece and nephew to be open-minded, and for example also when we are in groups with friends, if we don't accept not only homophobic, also no racist comments, like everything which is not correct, if we kind of make sure that we correct people and that we don't accept this in our environment, this already helps. If everybody teaches a child to be an ally, and then the problem is going to be solved as soon all the children grow up.
I think it's definitely much easier for the younger generation, definitely, because you can see it's more and more younger couples, like when we had to wait until our late 20s, now it's just like 16, I'm just like, I have a girlfriend, I'm just like...
And they're so proud, and they're so happy, and
yeah.
It's great.
That's great. I think it's definitely better now.
I think actually people should ask, how is it to live, for example, I lived 2 years in Maldives. How is it as a gay person to live in an Islamic country? How is it to live in Asia where we lived? So I think this is actually much interesting questions.
Or in Switzerland.
Even Switzerland is very different to here.
A small country, like especially when you live in those ski villages.
Yeah, in the village.
This is just like everyone know each other. Also, it was not always easy for us as a gay couple, because people also look at you just like two girls, so you have to be very careful. That's what they should start, all this education, at schools, because they're trying to ban the education because they believe if you educate someone gonna become gay, It's not like this, and also church has a lot of influence because we are a very Catholic country, so I think we have to start, because I'm not saying we are not open-minded, because we're having lots of younger generations fighting for those rights. But as long as the politics is against this, and it's not gonna work.
Things that we are real people, we are not an ideology. And kind of in Poland it says, all this gay life, they say it's an ideology. That's not true. The president has to leave, that's the thing. They need a new president. The president is so homophobic, and he's supporting, and he's at the moment he gets his all his support because he's giving social benefits to people with children, straight people with children, and to old people, and that's why he has the support. It's just about money, and this guy has to leave, and he has to make space for the young generation, because now was the election, and his opponent almost won. It was 50-50, and he was not for a gay marriage, but he wanted to make a civil partnership, what would be a big step for such a country. If you have one who says no equal right, another says, well, at least civil partnership. So the thing is, the government has to change.